Such was the expectation that Naoya Inoue was not only going to get rid of Paul Butler, but probably get rid of him quickly, that the longer this fight went on, I saw on some live chats, you started to get some ridiculous reactionary comments like, well, if Inoue doesn't stop Butler, he's out of my top 5 pound for pound. This is how ridiculous it can get. When people expect you to do what you are so built up to do, it doesn't matter if you win by a landslide. We want to see the big finish. Unfortunately, we got it. Butler was just in there to survive. A guy who does have good footwork, does have a tight defence. He's probably got more wrinkles to his game, as the phrase goes, since he got knocked out against Tete with that beautiful uppercut. But the game plan was no good, was it? He was never building any kind of route towards victory. Fortunately, it's the start of the 11th round. Inoue starts bouncing on the spot. He starts punching the air. He kind of seemed to mirror how a lot of us felt, that this has gone on too long now. Get this guy out of here, who is an unbelievable underdog. And one of the things Butler said post-fight was it wasn't so much Inoue's power that surprised him, because he really built that up in his head. I actually remember Razor Ruddock saying something similar about Mike Tyson, that he'd built it up so much in his head, Tyson's power, that when it landed, he wasn't that impressed. But Butler said it was Inoue's presence. He forces you into positions you don't want to be in, because he always engages you. And at the 11th, he's almost running after Butler, who, it's got to be said, was arguably running away for a lot of the fight. And he pins him against the ropes and subjects him now to more like 4s and 5s. He was able to block the 2s and the 3s, but when his guard was over-occupied with a bigger combination, that allowed Inoue to find the gap for that sweet left hook to the body. And I got to say, it kind of put an end to a lot of people's, I wouldn't say misery, but certainly frustration. Because a lot of people who aren't big Inoue followers would have tuned in and gone, all right, where's the big bang against this guy? Are we ever going to get it? Luckily, we did. The only round in which Butler showed, I thought, any kind of conviction was the 8th, where he rattled off a few more solid combinations. He maybe landed a hook on Inoue, but of course, he still lost the round. They were never building towards anything, and surely Joe Gallagher knew that. It's all very good clapping his efforts, and when he manages to slip through the occasional punch, but what are you doing? You're sinking here. You're sinking. Do you want to win, or do you just want to try and go home with the badge of I survived? Butler knew, though, right? The guy who's in the ring, not the trainer. He knew how poised Inoue was, how much more athletically gifted he is. His only resolve was to rely on the basics, because Inoue just goads you. He stands right in front of you and goes, go on, punch, just give me something. Because he's so quick with that catch and then punch. He's knocked out many guys. Look at like the Jason Maloney knockout, beautiful. He just waits for Maloney to open up a little bit too much, and then boom, done. Butler knew that. He didn't want to be caught in that in-between moment. So he limited his output to 10-20%, and then 80% was running around with a high guard. Now, during these moments of frustration, we saw, you could say, a little bit more personality from Inoue. We saw a bit of Roy Jones Jr., we saw a bit of a shuffle. He was trying to goad, of course, Butler to do something to make for a better fight. Butler's lack of passion certainly deserves to be the main gripe with this performance. But what Inoue was doing, it isn't always to everybody's tastes. But for me, I could kind of sympathise with him. There was one moment where he was just jumping back, then jumping back, then jumping back, going, come on, I can do what you're doing. And I'm thinking, fair play, this guy isn't participating enough. You're trying to get him to fight. He's not making this a good occasion. Where's the passion, right, in an undisputed fight? Surely you want to win as a fellow champion. I'll leave it to the Japanese to determine what they made of that behaviour. I kind of also thought Inoue was just trying to give a bit of entertainment in a different way, because he acknowledged at that point the fight is going a few rounds. It's not just going to be a 1 to 3 round blowout. I don't have too much of a problem with it. And another takeaway for me was, because Inoue didn't feel any kind of threat from Butler, he was such his physical superior, you could tell. Speed, physical strength. Anytime Butler landed a combination on Inoue's gloves, he just took it all and didn't move. When Inoue was punching Butler's forearms, he was moving a few feet across the ring. When you don't have that necessary threat, I think you just operate with like you've got more room for error and you're not quite as sharp. There's a reason people say fighting down to the level of your opposition. Especially if the guy's fighting negatively, and then it can frustrate you or even, you lapse into boredom. I don't think Inoue switched off, but I do think that was an example of a guy who, because, as we've seen before with maybe like an Aaron DePayne, if they don't present enough of a threat, you're not quite at your best. And some people said it kind of resembled a sparring session at times. But luckily, we did get the stoppage. Butler did succumb to those body shots. And so we move on. Surely we move up now to 122 pounds. Inoue failed his first attempt on the scales, didn't he? Pretty sure that's the first time he's done that at bantamweight. Is that the first time he's done that in his career? Somebody let me know. But surely a sign that he needs to move up. My eyes haven't been deceiving me in Inoue's last few fights. He's had a kind of more of a full look about him in the ring. He must be rehydrating to a higher poundage. And Super Bantam must suit his body a bit more now at 29 going on 30. Much bigger challenges there, I think, in every sense. There's probably more talent there, bigger frame guys. We need to really see what Inoue can do because there's no one else now, is there, at 118? The fight we didn't get, Casemiro, he's up right now, isn't he, at 122? So it's all to play for really up there. And very well may prove to be the battleground on which Inoue really proves himself to be. Maybe not just the best fighter on the planet, but a true blue all-time great. But what did you make of this fight? I think a lot of us share the same opinion that just basically Butler was too negative. And for Inoue standards, it wasn't quite as entertaining, even though he did get the KO. Where does he rank historically at 118 pounds? That's a question. Quite a few defences, very dominant, underrated wins, I think, over the likes of Manny Rodriguez. Can't rate quite as high as countrymen, I think, fighting Harada, who dethroned and twice beat Eder Joffrey, the incredible Brazilian. But hey, not too shabby of a run either, starting with that first round KO over poor Jamie McDonnell. Surely Inoue is poised to at least become a champion at 122 pounds. The real question is, can he become undisputed again?